All right, you could call today's showdown personal. My business partner Ashley lives in Swanee and I live in Gainesville, and they each have their pros and cons. Today we are looking at Swanee versus Gainesville. Let's see who comes out on top. First, if you're not familiar with either of these cities, make sure you check out this video that covers Swanee, and then we've got this great video that covers Gainesville along with many more. So let's get the obvious out of the way. Gainesville is located in Hall County and it's going to sit north of Swanee, and then Swanee is located in Gwinnett County, which is a little bit further south. So obviously, just looking at the map, if you're commuting into the Atlanta area, if that's needed for a job, Swanee is going to have the leg up on Gainesville when it comes to commuting. Swanee is a good 30 minutes closer to Atlanta than it would be if you lived in Gainesville. When it comes to the size of these towns, well, this is another area where they differ. Physically, Gainesville is bigger. It encompasses about 35 square miles compared to Swanee, which is only 11 square miles. And it doesn't stop there. When looking at Gainesville's population, Gainesville has almost 40,000 residents, whereas Swanee only has about 20,000 residents. So Gainesville has a lot more to offer if you're strictly comparing it just the sheer size of Gainesville. Now, you are going to feel the size of Gainesville, but this also leads to things like services and parks and restaurants and stores. All of that's going to be much more spread out. Obviously, in Swanee, that is going to be a much more dense collection of things, and you're not going to have to drive as far to get to everything that you need. Let's compare downtown areas. If you're looking for a charming Gilmore Girls or Hallmark-esque downtown scene, well, Gainesville wins hands down. In fact, they have a very charming downtown square with restaurants and boutiques and offices and hair cutting places, breweries. They are even expanding the downtown area right now in Gainesville. They're building a new hotel. They got a great new parking deck. It's going to have more restaurants, shops, and living options like apartments and condos. But if you compare this to Swanee's town center that they've had for a long time now, it's not really a comparison. They've had this huge green space at Suwanee Town Center that they've had for years, and they have a really amazing outdoor concerts and events for families. Gainesville does have something similar to this, but the area and the walkability of the downtown area where this is at in Gainesville just doesn't compare to this fabulous space that Swanee has. If it's old school charm you're looking for, then Gainesville wins this round. But if it's more modern, outdoor, live, play, well, Swanee wins. Now, schools are very important to a lot of our families that relocate from out of town. It's something that we have really great discussions about. And so when we're looking at Gainesville, Gainesville has two school systems that serves Gainesville. You got Gainesville City Schools and Hall County Schools. There are many highly rated schools according to greatschools.org in Hall County, but you're going to find that you have more highly rated schools, more numbers of those in the Swanee area. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that you're going to have many more schools in Gainesville just because of the sheer size of the county, whereas Swanee is a much more densely populated. And so the schools in Swanee are just served by Gwinnett County schools. There are no city schools there. And so we talked about how Swanee is a much more densely populated area. And so speaking of that, obviously, well, that comes with traffic and the ease of getting around. You're going to have more of that in Swanee than you're going to find in the Gainesville area. Another thing people love about living here in Georgia is the wonderful outdoor activities that we have. So in Gainesville, you have the benefit of having Lake Lanier right in your backyard, and literally you can have it right in your backyard if you so choose to buy a house on the lake. So Lake Lanier is a huge man-made lake that spans 5 different counties, including much of Gainesville. This offers ample opportunities for camping and fishing, water sports, think canoeing and tubing and all those great things. And you also have got public beaches and everything in between, restaurants on the water. It's a really, really great asset to have here in Gainesville. Swanee cannot touch that. Another thing Swanee can't beat is the beautiful mountain views that you're going to find in Gainesville. Although it's not visible everywhere you're at in Gainesville, there is something magical about driving along and seeing these great mountain views out of nowhere. Swanee does not have anything of that sort, but they do have a really cool trail called the Suwanee Greenway Trail. So it's one of Gwinnett County's most popular running, walking, and cycling trails. And this Greenway travels over pavement and boardwalks, and it stretches for more than 4 miles with only a single road crossing. So it makes like exploring wildlife very fun because it takes you through kind of like wetlands and scenic hardwood forest. And it also connects to several parks, neighborhoods, and even that really cool town center that we talked about earlier. It connects to the Greenway. This is a really popular trail and space that's used by many families. Very popular thing to do on the weekends. Of course, if you're into exercising and being outdoors with your kids, like this is where you are going to want to go. And when we look at like what Gainesville has, they don't really have anything like that. So you got Gainesville that has Lake Lanier, Swannie has the Greenway Trail. So if you watch my channel, you know that food and shopping are really important to me. Gainesville has its share of locally owned restaurants along with just about every type of chain restaurant you can think of. And while Suwanee and Gainesville both offer these options, in my opinion, Swannie has a lot more local options, including an abundance of like diverse restaurants with many different variety of cuisine options that are really hard to find here in Gainesville. Another plus that Swannie has in the restaurant column is the town's proximity to so many other great neighboring towns with fabulous restaurants. Swannie is very close to Buford and Johns Creek and Duluth, all which have amazing restaurants. When planning a date night, it only take about 15 or so minutes to get to these towns, whereas if you're driving to those areas from Gainesville, you're looking at a good 30 to 45 minute drive in the car. Same thing goes for shopping. Each town both has kind of like your standard grocery store and modern conveniences like Target. Swannie will put you in closer proximity to the Mall of Georgia and other shopping destinations. So the real kicker here, and what you really want to know, is how do the home prices compare? When it comes to home prices in the city of Gainesville, you're looking at an average home price of $316 at the time of filming this video. Now compare that right now to Swannie, which the average home price right now is $485,000 in Swannie. That is a huge difference between the two towns. Swannie's also a lot more competitive. You've got an average day on the market in Swannie of 6 days and 10 days for Gainesville. So more expensive, and you're gonna have to be more competitive when it comes to getting an offer accepted in Swannie. Now let's take a look at what about $420,000 gets you in Gainesville and Swannie. So here's a home that's currently listed for sale at the time of filming this video in Gainesville. It's $425,000. It's gonna get you a great new construction ranch home with an open floor plan, everything all brand new, and it gets you about 1,800 square feet. Now, when we look at what's for sale in Swannie in that same price point, there are no options of new construction. In fact, at the time of filming this video, there were only 4 houses, priced in that $425,000-ish price point. So that $420,000 price point in Swannie right now will get you several homes that were built in the 1990s. And as you can see from these pictures, many of these homes have not been updated, but a little paint and new fixtures can go a long way. So there you have quite a few differences between Swannie and Gainesville. And for most of our clients, when choosing and comparing between the two, it all comes down to 2 things: budget and the overall feel you want to have in the area that you live in. Swannie is smaller, yet it's bigger. It's closer to many other towns, much more of a city type of vibe, closer to Atlanta, more densely populated. Whereas Gainesville, on the other hand, is, I guess you could say, it's a little bit more rural. It's a little bit more spread out. You're not gonna have as much traffic to deal with, but then you're also not gonna have all the great things that Swannie has, like shopping and restaurants and the great outdoor areas and the Greenway Trail. So a lot of differences, but it really comes down to overall kind of like that feel that you get. So have you put either of these towns on your list to consider? I would love to know. And if you need more areas to consider, make sure you watch these videos, and of course reach out to my team and I. We would love to help you narrow down and make a decision about where your Georgia home is going to be. And of course, we're available to help find that house for you.